my boy from Los Angeles, California, Andrew Foster. If you don't know who he is now, you will. So Andrew, you got this new ice cream shop slash songwriting collab thing rocking right now.
Yes, man.
I've been catching some wind of.
Yeah.
Tell us about that, man.
Okay, so the ice cream shop thing, man, it came to be because I just had always been interested in starting a business of some kind and doing something outside of music to help fuel my excitement for music and kind of take other angles at the production of music, really. And so last year I had a really rad year, you know what I mean? And I decided to invest all the royalties that I made that year into an ice cream shop. And I knew of a few places that were doing nitrogen ice cream, and it's just so fun to watch. And like you could get this, I looked up where they find the right ingredients, right? Like the best stuff, the organic stuff. And I really just thought to myself, well, we can start by just catering and doing parties and doing that kind of thing, and then kind of venture our way into a building and really start something special. You know, I have a few friends that are doing coffee things, and they have like these really sick coffee shops where people come to meet, you know, they go on their first date there, they do their homework and their finals there, and they do little concerts there too. So the brainchild kind of sat there from the perspective of an ice cream shop doesn't take a lot of square feet. It's pretty easy to produce. Like you don't have to go to college to learn how to make some ice cream, you know? So, and it's just so fun to watch. Like the smoke comes out, it's like super rad. So I just did what I could to figure out how to produce the ice cream. And then once I felt confident enough about that, I started reaching out to different opportunities to go out and serve ice cream to people, you know? And I found it to feel like music feels, you know? Like sometimes you go out, well, I'll go out and I'll just play. I'll play in the street, I'll do 3rd Street in Santa Monica and just busk. Yeah. And there's this feeling when people like come by and like they didn't plan to see you, they didn't buy tickets, they have no clue who you are. But when they walk by and they stop and they hang out for a little bit and they pull out their phones or they give you $1 or $2, there's this feeling of like accomplishment, of like, cool, I'm doing something, and it felt good, and like it wasn't contrived whatsoever, it wasn't planned, it wasn't a marketing scheme, it was just pure music connecting people. And with ice cream, in a lot of ways it does the same thing, because you never have a bad time with ice cream. You don't go out to ice cream unless you like won a soccer game or something, you know what I mean? So the coffee guys have that, and they've built community, and I respect it so much, but I realized ice cream is more of a, you could be 5 years old or 105 and still enjoy it, as opposed to, you know, caffeine, you know, whatever. So that was kind of phase one. It got me really excited. I really wanted to do marketing. I really thought about fun ways to do commercials and this and that. And from that spilled over the idea of doing some kind of playlist, right? I think in the future, a lot of businesses are gonna have their own sonic identity. It's part of their marketing. But what they're gonna figure out is there are tons of music makers in the world that would love to collaborate with their brand, and we're kind of just going 2 steps ahead since I have a community of people who already make music. So what we're doing is we're building a playlist, we're putting it on Spotify and iTunes and YouTube and places where people can find more music, because I think there are a lot of people who are looking for something new. And in my community of songwriters and producers, what we're doing every day is writing songs, spending hours and hours writing songs, trying to get them to the biggest stars in the world. That's our job every day. And if you're lucky, that'll happen once or twice a year for some of the best guys we know in the game. So I'm thinking to myself, what does that mean? There's 300 more songs that each of us have made a year that are sitting on our laptop that got the sign from whoever at the label. So I'm thinking, what happens if we just start to serve music, you know, on a digital platform? And you know, it comes at fans who aren't expecting it, but it connects back to the brand. So Nitro Cone is the name of the ice cream company, and Nitro Sonic is the name of our music identity. And we just got started, and I finished writing and producing the song with my buddy Joe Henderson, incredible producer, and really excited to just kind of front run it. You know, I feel like if you have an idea like this, it's so far-fetched that if you don't do it first and show people what it is, you know what I mean? They might not know like how to get involved and how it all works, but now that the model is set up and we have our first song out, I'm really excited to get my friends involved, you know what I mean?
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome. Did you ever see this done before?
I've never seen it done before.
How did you come up with it?
I think it was just a few things happening at the same time. Like I noticed that there are playlists that are aggregating on YouTube that are doing incredibly. And it's like something called like Trap Nation or something. And you look on there and there's this logo and there's a playlist. And then I have a friend who does a lot of music business who let me know that the biggest finder of music and the biggest consumer website app that we find music as a world, as a planet, is on YouTube. Because on Spotify and on iTunes, you have to have a credit card. You know, you have to have an account, you have to get that monthly, but on YouTube, you just gotta sit through a commercial to get there. So we could get, we can get 12, 13, 14-year-old fans, whereas if you're on Spotify or iTunes, that's gonna be way harder to reach that audience, right? So we start there, and I mean, everybody that I know is just so talented and really just one or two songs away from really being found or discovered or building to the next level. And I kind of treat it like the mindset of how, everybody has that one song they can play on the piano. Like they'll see the piano and they'll be like, oh, this is my song. It's either Chopsticks or Furlise or whatever. Well, I know a lot of singers who've written one song and they kind of stop there because they don't know if they're a songwriter or not, or maybe they just haven't identified that as something they want to do regularly, but they wrote at least one song. So I'm like, yo, let's get your one song, let's produce it out, and let's share it with the world. There's really nothing holding us back. There's no middleman, there's nothing else. It's just sharing your heart. And if people connect to it, how beautiful is that? How cool is that, man?
It's a great idea. The community you've built now of these musicians. Are you taking people off the street that are like, hey, Andrew, I want to sit down with you and make a song? How do we do it?
I would do that because I believe in the power of collaboration that much. I've been able to spend time with some of the biggest songwriters in the world, and every one of them says the same thing. They say, write a song every day, right? So what does that look like for me? I love to collaborate, you know what I mean? I love to write, maybe have an idea, a startup idea, share it with someone and see how they vibe with it, connect with it, and then push that song to that 3-minute mark when it's done, where we got the second verse and the hook or whatever we're trying to do. But yeah, I'm open to it. And throughout my years of just working in the music industry, I've met 100 people I think are incredible, that I would bet $1 million on if I had it. That's how talented they are. And they're either one song away from the thing, or it's just, another step in the journey. And I'm like, yo, if you want to collab on this journey, like, let's go. I'm not here to take from you. The ice cream business is doing its thing. And that's the beautiful other aspect of it, is like, there's no real financial hurdle to creating this music because we're all already creating and we have the equipment needed. We're just sharing ideas and sharing dreams, man.
That's why I love music.
Yeah.
I love music for that reason, the collaboration point. I'm sure you've had some great collabs. I'm sure you had some bad collabs, too.
Yeah.
What makes a good collaborator, you think? So what makes a good partner?
Oh, man. You know what it is? It's so interesting because early on, I would go into sessions with a song that I felt was super important. It might be a song I actually wanted to keep for myself as an artist. I had no idea about the relationships and the nuance of writing a song together. There's so much sharing of emotion. There's so much connection each people might have to an idea within a song. And so I think what it is it's a balance of compromise, and it's just a connection you have with people, I look back to the guys at Motown that used to write all that music. There was a table full of guys, Lamont Dozier. These guys wrote all the hits we know from the Temptations and the Four Tops, and they even worked with Marvin Gaye. They had a system and they had this community. And with the people that I know now that are doing the same thing, they have that same connection. It's like family. There's so much trust, and there's so much like, I don't know what word goes here. How about this? And it's like, maybe I had a better idea, maybe I don't, but let's just go forward with that moment in this song and, you know what I'm saying, just kind of get the song where it needs to be. The goal is always to finish that song and to really create something authentic, and from there, you just don't know. You don't know if it's going to be a hit or not, and a lot of them, unfortunately, have sat on laptops. So now we're trying to change that,
I bet some of the best songs ever written,
they're sitting on a laptop.
Nobody's ever heard them.
Prince has a catalog of hundreds of songs we've never heard, Some people have written so many great songs, it would be unrealistic for us to have heard them all. But the beautiful thing is that when the right songs emerge, you know, when you're sharing songs that are unreleased with other artists who may be on a label and maybe having a deadline coming up to drop something on radio, or just like the new single for their album, they play you 10 songs and then certain songs start to resonate. And when you start thinking about that song 2-3 weeks later, you're like, bro, that's the one. I think it's the one, you know? And if you're saying that in like with love in your heart, like it's really exciting to be on the front end of records. You know, dude. Just this year I got to hear New Light by John Mayer before it came out.
How?
I just happened to be in a nightclub where he was at, man.
And he played it there.
I was at a bar.
How was the reception?
I mean, the bar was so small that I think he was just playing it in that room to hear it, to feel it in a room. Because when you're in the studio all day, you don't know how it hits in a bar this size. But my brother had just flown in to go to Coachella. Him and his buddies wanted to do something, so we ended up in Hollywood and just wandering around, which I generally spend so much time in the studio, I don't get out that much, you know. So we're in this part of town I'm not used to. We had to wait in line and like know some secret code to get into this spot. I didn't even know it was a cool spot. But we go inside, and my friend's in there, and she goes, look at this guy with his silly necklace on. I looked over and I was like, that guy with the silly necklace is John Mayer. He can do whatever he wants necklace-wise, you know? And then he plays New Light, and it was incredible. About a month before it came out. And I just remember the guitar part reminding me of Hella Good by Gwen Stefani and Pharrell. So when I heard that guitar part again, I was like, oh, that's the song. That's the song I heard the other week, you know? Beautiful, man.
He has such a, you bring up John Mayer, dude. He has got such a knack for writing a hit pop song. Like he can go, he does his crazy stuff, but he knows when he wants to write a hit song, he's one of the, I think one of the only people, maybe Adele.
Yeah.
Gwen Stefani.
Yeah.
You bring up some of these names.
These incredible names.
When they want a hit song, they know how to do it.
They figure it out. And you know who he wrote that song with? A guy named No ID, who's been behind Kanye West, Childish Gambino. He's a behind the scenes kind of dude who's been behind the biggest artists in the world for a long time. And an unlikely duo created a really dope song in my opinion.
Wow.
Yeah, I love it.
That's cool. This ice cream thing, dude, with the collaboration. I can see that it's a love for ice cream music, but I think it's also a love for people.
Absolutely, yeah. That's what's at the heart of it for me, man. There's this other thing I was involved in called So Far Sounds, and I MC these shows for this global community of house concerts. It's one of the coolest things I ever thought of. My buddy Denny White, he was doing, shout out to Denny, he was doing a show in someone's backyard and he invited me. And I go out there and I'm like, this is everything I ever dreamed of. You mean there's an app, and on the app it tells you, hey, there's a show Friday, we'll tell you where it is on Friday, you can get your tickets here, we're not gonna tell you who's performing, they're gonna do 3 songs, there's gonna be 3 artists, you don't know what you're getting into, welcome to the ride. And I go to this thing and I'm just like, oh, this is beautiful, this is incredible. And so they at the end of the night, they're like, if you want to get involved, let us know. So I put my name in the hat, man. And so I got to do a ton of shows over the last few years. And now, because my ice cream shop is in the city of Riverside, which is about an hour east of LA, I get to be the curator for So Far Sounds in my city, which means I'm going to be able to put on shows in my ice cream shop, which is part of the dream, you know? Not only to write these songs, but to get people in front of people and building that connection from one song to whatever comes next, you know what I mean? It's a relationship, yeah. It's all people.
You must come from a long line of musicians.
Yeah, I wish I did. I think the culture of my family is definitely musical, but no one in my house plays a tune, man.
Really?
Yeah, it's wild. I grew up in a house where music was important. It was listened to very passionately, and my dad had a great catalog, a great library of songs, from Julio Iglesias being one of his favorites, to Luther Vandross, to Marvin Gaye. And watching James Brown, honestly, was the thing that like shook me, because he had so much passion, and his performances would last for hours, and it was just, I just wanted to do that, you know? And then from there, watching Michael Jackson and every step of his journey from young Michael to teen Michael, just seeing how people responded to the magic they're creating, you know? It feels like they are a roller coaster, you know? And as the middle kid, you know, you're often overlooked. Not the youngest, I'm not the baby, I'm not the oldest, which is the first baby, you're just the guy in the middle, you know? And I remember vividly being in the kitchen, dancing and being like, yo, look, Mom, look, Dad, I'm like James. And they were just like, okay. They didn't have, you know, they weren't impressed. They weren't like, oh, we got to get this kid in classes. They were just like, cool. And then in 7th grade, man, I did a talent show. And that was when everything changed for me. That was the first time outside of Funscape. I don't know if you remember Funscape, bro.
Come on.
Woo! So 5th grade. That was the first time I ever performed with anyone seeing me besides being in the kitchen dancing my butt off trying to be like James Brown. And they had a dance contest every Friday night at our local Funscape, our local...
My brother Anthony, by the way,
yeah.
won that competition.
Yes, he did!
Let's
go!
Kid was sweating.
Oh, man.
He was working his tail up at night, but I didn't mean to interrupt you.
No, absolutely. You had to work. So I remember going in there. I remember my first night. And some kid walked up to me and he goes, you want to battle? And I was like, sure. I had no idea what was going on. So he does this move, and then I do that move right back, and he was like, oh, shoot. And he just walked off. And this was before I knew there was a dance contest coming up. But, you know, this is our local rec center, Friday night. I think it was $5 to get in. There's pizza in one room, and pickles, of course, because kids love pickles. There's basketball in one room. There's dodgeball in the racquetball court area. Then there's this other basketball court that's just completely blacked out. There's a DJ and there's strobe lights. And probably at 8 or 9 o'clock, you know, the dance contest. And there was this guy named Raleigh, man. I still remember his name. I don't even know where he's at. But he would break dance. Like, he was nice. Like, he could really do his thing, you know, groundwork, everything. And I could really just do up rocking, moonwalking, all that stuff. But we would go at it every Friday, bro. It was just me versus Raleigh. And I feel like it must have been years of that, you know? And what I realized eventually was whoever has the larger crowd wins, because it's just cheering that gets you the win. So, man, that was my first time to feel the rush of performing. And then in 7th grade, it was me and 3 girls. We were supposed to do a song from the Rugrats movie, produced by Teddy Riley. Take me there, I wanna go there. Whatever that song was, we had rehearsed these dance moves for it. And then guess what? Everybody got stage fright except me. So they ditched me the day of the the audition. We had rehearsed for a week. And my brother and his friends were listening to this Outkast song the whole summer called Rosa Parks. Aha, hush that fuzz. Everybody move to the back of the bus. So it was already in my CD player. So I just played that song and I freestyled to it for my audition.
Dance or sing?
Dance, just dance.
Okay.
I just moonwalked back and forth for like 5 minutes. And they let me into the show. And I was like, oh, sick. I didn't know it was gonna be the show. I should probably choreograph something. So I started to kind of block some things. And I was like, okay, the beginning of the song I'm gonna be on the left side of the room. The middle I'm gonna be here. But I really didn't have a plan. And I made it in. And I'd never have heard people cheer louder, ever. They were cheering, they were chanting my name, Andrew. And it was a feeling like you cannot describe, man. For a 7th grader to feel that, bro, I was like...
I'm feeling it right now, buddy.
I mean, I still get I get Facebook messages, right, like to the day of people going, bro, I remember when you did that. I moonwalked back and forth, and after I got off stage, it was such a rush, man. I was sweating. I had on these cheesy snow goggles because those were cool. I had on my Jinkos, dude. The huge Jinkos. You couldn't even really see my feet, but you just saw me floating back and forth. And then somebody comes backstage and goes, was there profanity in your song? And I go, what's profanity? I don't know what profanity is. I was like, what's profanity? And they're like, were there bad words in your song? And I was like, yeah. I didn't know any better because I didn't realize at 13 edited versus non-edited music. My older brother and his friends just listened to the music.
What'd they do?
I got sent to the principal. You won't believe it. So the next week, my biggest high turned into you're in trouble. And I'm like not a troublemaker kid. Like I wasn't going for that. I go in that room, I talk to the principal, first time in there, proud of myself. And the principal says, did you audition with the same song you performed with? And I said, yes, ma'am. And they go, okay, you can leave. Whew. So from then on, they needed your lyrics, and they needed to make sure, because it was on them. It was their fault because I had played that song and they missed it.
Justice.
Woo! I got lucky, man. But another cool thing that happened was I met Brad Novelett that night. I met Brad. So one of my best friends from there,
Man.
and someone I collaborated on every other talent show from there.
What a family, huh?
Yeah, man.
What a
So
family
this is a
they
special
are.
time, dude. Special time.
You got into broken ground at church.
Yeah, man. That was it.
Traveling to Utah. 3 summers in Boston.
In Boston. Copley Square.
We knew the
Faneuil Hall.
I tell people from Boston now, I know the T like the back of my
Yeah,
hand.
man.
baby.
Roxbury. We did it all. Harvard Square.
We did some nice shows out
We
there.
did. And it was cool because it was just kids doing music. Like there was something about that that was special. You know, there's a lot of honesty in it. And I remember turning heads out there and being able to connect with the people in the city. And it was beautiful, man. There's nothing like Texas, right?
I felt special because we weren't just one of the.
Street acts, right?
Yes.
Like the ones just, you know, putting on a show for entertainment's sake.
We had a purpose.
We had a purpose, man. That changed my life. That changed the trajectory of my life, doing that.
Setting up in the middle of Faneuil Hall, Boston Commons.
Yeah.
You getting the speakers going,
Yeah.
150 kids.
Yeah,
dancing.
just dancing, singing, full band, all high school age.
At that time, we were the biggest non-adult
Yeah.
act
Oh, for sure.
in the country.
Yeah,
there was
I
nobody.
believe it.
Because there was no adults. It was all students.
All students.
from every part of it.
Yeah.
I was proud of
And
that.
Michael helped arrange all the music. It's so cool, man. Yeah. It was a.
Clinton is coming down.
Oh, sick,
He's coming
man.
down. He's going to stay with me on January 12th. Yeah, he's going to come. He's coming visit.
For sure, man. That's amazing.
I look back on Boston as definitely one of the best times of growing
Dude,
up for me.
easily, man. Such a huge highlight. That was where music turned into a purposeful thing, right? So many of my favorite artists, like they go through this journey in music and it's about them the whole time. And that's got to be a roller coaster in a lot of ways. You know, there's a lot of pressure in that and there's a lot of pride in that.
In anything.
Yeah.
In any, not only music, anything you do, if it's only for you,
Yeah.
you gotta find joy.
Absolutely,
Where's the joy?
man.
The joy's making up that. Like
Yeah.
you talk about the ice cream.
That look on their faces. When they look at you and they say, this is the best ice cream I've ever had. That is a touchdown. That's a touchdown in that world, you know? Or the time when my buddy brought his kid and he's like, this is the first ice cream she's ever had. Like, what? That's pretty significant, right? I mean, you know.
Want to get a picture of you guys?
Right. It's wild, man. So it's fun to just create avenues to be something special in people's lives and to find, you know, just another purpose, a higher purpose in what you're doing, man. And in the same way with music, man, it's been able to take me places I never thought I would go, meet people I never thought I'd meet, you know what I mean? And it's been a beautiful journey in that way.
Always searching for that rush again, man.
Dude, it feels good. It does. It really does.
I enjoy the journey.
Yeah.
It's great.
Same.
So, man, I'm starting to, I'm thinking back to the specifics of Boston.
Oh, yeah. So good.
3 summers in a row we did that.
Yeah, we did. And shout out to Berkeley, where I probably should have ended up. Everybody I work with in LA is a Berkeley kid, and I'm like, really? Really? This is amazing. I probably should have done that. Not that I feel bad about, you know, my university experience. It was good. I learned a lot and made great connections, but man, I won't say I have any regrets, but Berkeley, that might be where I send my kids, you know?
That was a dream, I think, for all of us.
Yeah. And I think just having musical community is what I realized is huge. Because if you grow with certain musicians, you have a bond that supersedes your next season of life, right? I mean, even us, we've done music together and our connection as friends is much deeper than a lot of people I grew up with, you know?
I wonder, I think that's probably one of the reasons
probably a
why
big part of
when
it.
when you've spilled your heart out
Yeah.
lyrically,
Yeah.
and you've swallowed your ego and said, I know this might not be good, but tell me what you think.
Exactly.
You know?
There's that vulnerability to it.
But you got to,
Yeah.
you're vulnerable.
Yeah.
And
It's a deeper connection for
there's
sure.
no question,
Yeah.
man.
Bro,
So are you writing every day?
almost every day. I'd say I take a few days off every now and then just to kind of recharge. But you know what I do? In my phone, every day.
Voice memos.
Every day I beatbox an idea and it's like boom, 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 you know what I mean? And I'm just like creating at least a hook, a verse. And there's some guys in LA, it's funny, there's a new term, there's always a new term. It's either top liner, which is like I just write the hit, or now starters is a thing. So to go into a session with, you know, multiple writers and be a starter means you have an idea that's gonna start the session. And I had an incredible experience with that in the summertime. I met this dope French producer at a party, and he was like, hey, let's work. And that's funny, because everyone in LA says, hey, let's work. That doesn't really mean anything. That's just step one. That just means we know each other. Okay. But then he hit me up that week, and I was like, oh, he's serious, let's go, you know?
Were you prepared? You were?
Absolutely, because I drove in with a starter. I drove in with an idea that just came to me, you know? It was like God just gave me a song for that day, and I pull up, and the song was in the same key as they were already working on, bro. They had no lyrics, but they had already started the chords to the record. So I just throw my voice memo into the laptop, and it fits perfectly.
Wow.
And I was like, this is amazing. And I was like, oh, look, I'm a starter now. I'm not a songwriter anymore. I'm just a starter. I just show up to get things going, you know?
Never heard that.
Yeah, I mean, there'll be a new term next year. But at the same time, there are a lot of pieces to the process, right? And the best artists in the world are the ones who knew every step of it. People like Prince, who knew how to write, record, produce. Tori Kelly, even. When I met her, bro.
I love her. I've been a fan of hers for a couple of years now. I love her.
Same.
Oh.
If you scroll back far enough, I did a music video with her before she got signed. Yeah,
Really?
It's really silly, but I still like to brag about it because she asked me to do something silly, and I knew that she was going to be a big star. So I was like, I'll do it. I had to do it because, like, if I don't do it, I'm going to always think about how, oh man, I should have done that thing. I knew she was going places, man.
Never say no.
Yeah, I met her with a group of friends, AJ Raphael and a few people who are doing a thing, Andrew Garcia, people from the YouTube world. And Andrew had done American Idol. Straight up, now tell me. He's a super talented guy, man.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. And she was kind of the newer person that I had met, like the one I recognized the least. And she sat us down and she was like, hey guys, I just wrote a few songs and I wanted you to hear them. Bro, I almost lost it. They were so good. I was just looking at her like, what are you doing here? You know what I mean? Literally, like this felt like we had snuck into some like VIP backroom show. That's how great her music was with just her and her acoustic. And that was before I heard the recorded versions of this record that became Handmade Songs, which was like her first EP.
Man.
Yeah.
You know,
amazing.
Something about the music industry that, you know, I think that we all can see is that when somebody like Tori Kelly comes through, it's hard for me to even name a bunch of them, but she comes to mind when I think of someone who is wholesome.
Yeah.
She doesn't seem like someone who's going to go too far to the left or too far to the right.
No.
She's going to stay
centered,
true to who she is.
Absolutely.
And no amount of money or fame is going to get her to deviate.
And it's inspiring, man. I think that inspires a lot of young artists more than a lot of things do. Her talent is incredible, but to watch who she is with that talent, it's crazy, man. I think that inspires millions of people.
Do you think about that when you see her? Like that does click with you too?
Yeah, she's just a friend. It's almost like she's the same person she was before all of this stuff. You know what I mean? And I'm lucky to have a handful of friends that have done really well. And when you meet up with them, it's like when you first met them in that way. You know, that humility is still there, and like you would never assume anything outside of the fact that they are still centered in who they've always been. It's amazing, man.
I'm so proud.
That inspires me. Because, you know, one of my best friends, TJ, he always says, bro, if you mess around and get a platinum record, you probably gonna put diamonds in your teeth, huh? And I'm like laughing because I like to do fun things and I like to do weird things. So like, I can see myself doing it and I laugh with him.
Okay, so
but it's not even like me trying to like sell out. It's just, that's fun to me, you know?
You go platinum.
Yeah.
3 years from now, 2 years from now, 5 years from now, you go platinum.
My teeth are just diamonds, bro. Purple diamonds.
But it's still Andrew.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
Your true character of who you are is just gonna be magnified.
One would hope, man. One would hope. Absolutely.
I'm confident
Yeah.
in you. in that regard.
Well, you know what's crazy is I realized too that like throughout my life, I feel like God's put me in rooms that even when I was 13, 14 years old, I got to hang out with 311 through my friend Patrick. And we did a choir concert, and the band pulled up and picked us up and brought us over to the Edge Christmas concert, and we're backstage, and it was like I got to see the future. I got to see how possible it is to be from Omaha, Nebraska, and write a bunch of songs with your ska rock band and just blow up. You know what I mean? And it made me feel like these are humans who tried something. And a lot of times the way our culture is set up, we take artists and we exalt them and we worship them. But like from that moment, I was like, oh, these are just a bunch of guys, man. They're in their 20s, they write songs, they're passionate. SA from the band used to send us music. He used to send us mixtapes. Hey man, this is some stuff we're jamming to, blah, 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 Cypress Hill. They would show us, like it was like we were friends with them, but we were kids. Obviously it was Patrick's brothers, so he had a whole nother connection, you know?
They loved it as much as you did.
Yeah, because they just saw that we lit up, and they're like, these guys could be the future. Let's just throw them some mixtapes. Let's show them our life, you know? And since then, like, I see all of it. I see the glamour in it, and I see the hard work. I see the distance from your family. I see the connection between the bandmates and how it's like family in its own way, and you've been through things you could never describe. You could never imagine reenacting, you know, with other people. It's just a special experience. But strangely enough, too, it's just guys trying stuff. It's just guys and gals sharing their heart, trying to make something that they think the world is going to connect to. Rest in peace to Patrick, by the way. Yeah, man.
Man, what a story.
Yeah.
It was like a glimpse into your into your future.
I felt it. I felt like, oh, backstage feels right. You know what I mean? All of this stuff just feels like it's where I'm supposed to go. All those movies I watched, all that James Brown live I watched, I'm supposed to be here, you know? Like, it just felt right, you know?
I want to ask you from, you know, let's say from senior year of high school till now, right? Progression, improvement in music.
Wow, yeah.
In your own talent. You know, the talent's there, we know it.
Right.
We always knew it. A lot of people have talent, right?
Yeah.
But they're not going to take that step. They're not going to, you know, say, I'm going to LA.
Right.
I'm going to make this myself.
Right.
A lot of people wash out.
Absolutely.
Most people would never have made it as far as you've come.
Right. Right.
And done other things entrepreneurial wise.
Right.
To facilitate that.
Exactly.
Right? To be able to do that.
Right.
Do you feel a responsibility to yourself to work harder in getting and honing your talent?
Absolutely, because I think that's part of the journey for a lot of people. So you had Miss Allen on the show. She was the first person to ever see it in me and say it. So I was doing the talent show, I was dancing around, but I really wanted to be a singer. You know, I wanted to be like James Brown, I wanted to be like Michael. And she was the first one to say, I believe you can do this, you know? And I remember walking across that stage as an 8th grader and her whispering something along those lines to me, and it just lit me up, man. I just believed. It was the only person. My parents had never said that. My friends may have screamed and cheered, but you know, they're peers. It doesn't connect the same. But to have a teacher say, I think you can do this. I think you're gonna be great. Boom, that was all I needed. And then there was no question from there. I was like, okay, I'm not crazy. You know what I'm saying?
Teachers like her.
Yeah.
And the influence she had on the people that she's been around, that make growing up, make you feel where you grew up and how you grew up so much more special.
Yeah.
It's like, it makes us think that we were so much more lucky than somebody else.
Absolutely, fortunate,
like
yeah. And I was signed up to be in band first day of school. I don't know what it was that switched it, but I was like, oh man, I think everyone's having more fun in choir, and like, that's probably a good thing to do if I want to be a singer. You know what I mean? My whole life could have gone a whole nother route if I was playing the saxophone still. Yeah, man. So as far as like that goes with honing your skills and that journey from high school till now, I learned for me that what's been most important is getting myself around other great musicians. And when I was in college, I got to be a part of this thing called the Voice Box that happened the first Saturday of every month. There was this gathering of beast musicians that were just like, I don't know where they came from, bro. But I was playing piano and singing at this restaurant. Actually, I was singing and playing cajon, And my best friend, Mister, he was playing keys. We met in college, and we started playing at this restaurant every Thursday night, very similar to this one. Sweet Greek family brought us in. And we'd play keys every Thursday. They'd open the place up late. We'd shut it down. We'd just sing pop songs, R&B songs. And I got really good at cajon, and rhythm is huge, you know. But a guy invited us to the Voice Box. It's this big talent show. There's a house band back there. Everybody in that house band right now is playing for artists that you would know, that you would name, playing behind some of the biggest artists in the world. And these guys, man, humble, incredibly talented guys. We'd all meet up first Saturday, and the host, Aaron, he just had this list on his phone, and if he called you, like, you're up, you know? This is the biggest room, man. It felt like every month felt like an audition. And so I started to think about it. You know, months or weeks before the night, I'd be like, what song am I gonna do? You know, what song is this band already gonna know? Because they're insanely talented, but if it's a song they love already, they're gonna give it to you. They're gonna serve, you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. If it's a song they kinda know, they're gonna be timid and they're gonna look around at each other and be like, is this right? But bro, if it's a song they're already jamming to, like a good John Legend song or something, whoo! You're gonna look like John Legend behind these guys, you know what I'm saying? And so that was one of those rooms where I really felt growth. My friend Leonard, he could play a song without listening to. I mean, he could play a song after hearing it one time, just by ear. Once I knew that was possible, I just transferred to that mentally. Once I knew that was possible, I started to play the guitar different. Because I was like, if he can do that, let me hear what's on the radio. Oh, okay, got it. You know what I'm saying? And so that became the standard for me, listening to music and believing. And of course, we were trained really well from our sight reading and our choir days to have a great ear. So that transferred over to the guitar.
What a piece of advice.
And it's just like, boom, try it. Don't look for the chords. Don't Google the chords to your favorite song. Figure out what key it's in. And then learn your voice well enough to transfer the key to the one that makes you sound best. Because it might sound great for Adele to sing that song that way, but what if you find that sweet spot key for you? Because no one else in the crowd's gonna be like, wrong key, fam, little bit higher, little, you know what I'm saying? No one's gonna do that. So that's good, man. It really was amazing. Just being around the right people changes everything, you know? Yeah.
I feel like you're the right people for me.
I appreciate that, man.
I'm proud
Likewise.
of you. I can't wait to sit down again with you and talk more about what's going on.
Absolutely.
I still need that music. You're gonna send me. We're gonna put on the.
Oh yeah.
We're gonna put the links.
Definitely. First song. It's called For Now. It's island jam type of song, island pop song, and it's the first Nitrosonic record featuring Andross, which is me as an artist. So, hope you guys love it. Yeah.
Can't wait to hear it, man.
Yeah.
Guys, thank you again for watching episode 9, Savianos Sit Down with my boy Andrew Foster.
Peace.
Hope you guys enjoy. Peace.